All right, so here is our review of Studio 666. First of all, I want to say thank you to Mike Kehoe for putting us in touch with BJ McDonnell, who put us in touch with Open Roads Films, who so generously got us a screener to watch the movie early so we can have the ability to even do this. And this will be spoiler free, so you can watch this without any suspense. We're not going to ruin anything for you. It is a campy, great time. That was the first note that I wrote.
Oh my God!
The movie is like, if you're a fan of horror films, or if you enjoy laughing, you will find yourself entertained by this movie. It is over the top, vulgar, insane. The dialogue is just absurd, witty. The best way to put it is just, it is one hell of a crazy good time. If you took the energy of rock music and somehow translated it into comedy horror, it's like rock and roll.
Let me apologize in advance for all the rock we're about to make.
Put it this way, you don't have to be a fan of horror or rock, and you can enjoy this film. That's what I want to say. This is just a good film on its head. So for the Foo Fighters to be in this film, and for them to be artists, but acting may not be their main forte, I think they did a hell of a job, because we talked about who we would have wanted to see what bands see this. I know a lot of bands that could have never pulled this off.
Wow. Yeah, it was their charm and their chemistry that actually made the movie. Like when they like went full on into the horror genre and they had the effects and everything, those were pulled off, like they were pulled off competently, especially for like this is BJ McDonnell's second film, and most of the people in it are not like traditional actors. All of these moments were pulled off really well, from the response of the people that the horrific things are happening to.
Oh my God!
To the way the horrific things are pulled off, either practically or with visual effects. It was all done very well. Like, there was never a moment where I was distracted by an effect being subpar or something like that. But the movie ultimately succeeds because it doesn't lean on those moments. It doesn't lean on like being a horror movie at all. It is like purely the charm and the energy that exists throughout, whether it's a funny moment or a scary moment. There's always this same, like, you're having a really good time.
There's one scene in the film here that I won't say who it is, but I will say this and you'll know what I'm talking about, because it brings what you just said to a great point, to where they didn't lean too much into horror and they didn't forget that they were still being in a comedy. Is the scene where someone tells someone no. The person turns around and says, "What'd you say to me?" He said, "I said no." And then he pauses, and you think that he's gonna go full horror mode on him, but he just goes full rock star, like, "You know who the fuck I am?" I'm like, so that's the monster within him. And I'm like, oh, that was brilliantly done.
I can park wherever I fucking want to.
That had nothing to do with what the fuck they were talking about. I can park where. Do you know who I am? So yeah, so that's why I say they never took it too seriously, but they did take it serious. Like, and I like that.
Yeah, that like technically everything was done.
Oh,
like,
you can even tell, like, when they were moving in sync. I'm like, somebody just told them, guys, on 3Q, you guys go this way. They moved in unison. I'm like, okay, it was crazy, man.
The lighting and the sound.
Oh yeah,
so like
pristine.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're rock, man.
No surprise with the sound, but the lighting was just incredible. It was just done so well. I felt like I can't even, like,
I didn't see any soft shots. I didn't hear anything peaking. I didn't hear anything.
And they had fun with it. Like, they used, they adjusted the lighting. Like in the basement scene, they changed the whole look of the basement by simply making it a blue lighting hue
versus
the red, rustic, orangey feel
what was that show we talked about? That basement looked like The Strain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's BJ McDonnell working on so many music videos, like, because it had that kind of raw energy of a music video where there was no shot wasted. Like in a lot of movies, like an insert shot, it'll just be, straight on insert shot. But with this, it had that Sam Raimi type of energy to it, or like music videos where there's always motion, there's always movement. The deaths in it were so everything in this movie was over the top, which is one of the things that I loved about it. Like, from the punchlines, the tension was always over, the aggression, the fuck yoga.
Hey man, let me get the grill tomorrow.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. And then even the the deaths were over the top.
Yeah.
And
They were like fatalities.
Yeah, it was like a throwback to the old like 80s horror where you just like go as big and bloody as possible. And speaking of the aggression being over the top and the deaths being over the top, when an unnamed person gets murdered, half of their body cut from the nose up, and the rest of their body is sliding down the wall. Fucking Dave Grohl just his middle finger follows his
all
body
the way down.
as it slides
way
down. He's already
way
dead.
down.
This is purely for you, flicking him off.
Yeah.
It was, but there was just that like unnecessary, over the top vulgarism. It was just so refreshing, weirdly refreshing.
Yes.
And the pacing, like I know we said that the pacing in the last 30 minutes could have been adjusted a little bit, but overall I think that one of the notes that I had was the pacing of the film. For me, it felt so like I felt like it was always moving.
Yeah.
There was something always like, if you weren't laughing, you were like gearing up for some kind of crazy suspenseful moment to happen. It was one of the two, and the energy and the charisma was always there. I can't think of somebody that really brought a scene down between the supporting characters or the main cast or the Foo Fighters. Like, especially just watching the Foo Fighters banter with each other. They're just, I mean, they've been working together, touring together, recording together for decades. So they've got that natural chemistry that worked as an advantage.
I thought that's what was beautiful about it as well, as far as not only, but to me, I told you when they actually got to be a band, like that's what I think is beautiful about this film. You're watching a film, but then you get to see certain elements that you would never see. Yeah, you've seen behind the scenes of them rehearsing before, but this is actually them, like in an element you not seen them in, but they're still being a band. You know, when they're rocking out and doing this stuff, they're really fucking playing. And you can see that's why some of their eyes are closed, their emotions are completely different than the characters they're portraying. Yeah. But once the music stops, they're back in character again. So it's beautiful, man. Like I said, the drummer's going hard. Like everybody's, Pat, man, he's the plant. Pat has to be the plant. I still cheese, man. But
I'll just say from the beginning to the end, I was thoroughly entertained.
Right. We didn't even take a pee break,
and I had to bad. Like from 30 minutes in, I had to go. I didn't want to stop it because the pacing was there. It was just, I didn't want to break that natural. Like they had this flow going. They found a rhythm. Like. Leave it to musicians to find a rhythm, but this movie had a rhythm that just
1, 3, 5, 7.
It kept you entertained from the beginning to the end, and I mean, it was just it is one hell of a good time.
It's killer.
It's a movie. Put it this way: it's a movie that you would always say, "Hey, man, have you seen this?" And you want to show it to somebody. Like
It's definitely a movie to watch with friends, or at least one friend, and get some drugs or some alcohol or
both.
Whatever you prefer. Order a pizza. Like it doesn't take itself seriously, so it gives you permission to just turn your brain off and just fucking be entertained.
Now, this whole project started out as a silly idea that we imagined would be like a low-budget slasher film. And then it turned into a full-length feature film, and then we're here.
Yeah, badass death scenes, hilarious comedic scenes, a little bit of Whitney Cummings top titular area, and some kick-ass music.
That was the pitch to the studio right there. Those 5 things you said. You got badass over the top death scenes, kick ass music, Whitney Cummings totally tubular thing happening there. Come on, and Lionel Richie.
Yeah.
I was like, man, say green light this shit. Go.
Hello.
I know you have this writer's block.
So I give it a 4.5.
Now, and again, I want to make sure people understand this. See, it's what we feel it is to us.
And this is 1 through 5. 5 being the best. 4 for me, it was a 4.5, and I say 4.5 because I gave The French Dispatch a 5. And to me, that is like the perfect film. And while this, I don't really have any grievances or things that I could think would have made it better or more enjoyable for me. I think a 4.5 is all that for this movie. It is practically a 5 for this genre.
I gave it a strong 4. I'm right at 4.
4.5 plus 4 equals 8.5 divided by 2 is 4.2. 25, 4 and a quarter.
666. You got 4.25. That's pretty high in our books.
Yeah, for a horror comedy, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll just highly recommend it. If you have not seen it yet, I don't know if it's coming out on streaming yet, but
If you're a fan of Pearl Jam, you have to see it.
and this is a movie that you should really see in theaters because I bet this is great with like a bunch of people.
I'm talking about this, the sound though. We just watched it.
Oh god, yeah. The
IMAX.
sound, but then having the audience there to all like
Enjoy it with
embrace
you.
that energy together. Yeah. You just watched our review for Studio 666. Go check it out in theaters on February 25th and then come right back here on March 3rd to watch our episode all about the movie with special guest director BJ McDonnell and actor Marti Matulis.
And that's the fucking promo.